Welcome to Deep Dive episode 1, where we get past paper questions and we dive deep into the said questions. The first episode today, we are going to talk about the first 5 questions of 2020 O-Level MCQ past paper. I'm your host Sean Singer with Science with Sean. So without further ado, let's get to the first question. The first question is the fundamental, structural, and functional unit of life. Before we get to the answer, let's talk about the other options. Tissue. Tissue is a group of cells with a common origin that has been modified to perform a particular function in the body. There are 4 types of animal tissues: epithelial tissue, which are covering and lining tissues, then connective tissues, which are supportive and protective tissue, then muscle tissue, which are responsible for movement, and nervous tissue, which are involved in transmitting signals. And also there are 2 types of plant tissues: meristematic tissue, which has cells that divide actively by mitosis to produce new cells, and then we have permanent tissue, tissues that has lost the ability to divide and specialize to perform a particular functions. They have lost the ability to divide and now they have specialized to perform a particular function. Then we have organ, a distinct structure made up of 2 or more different types of tissues that work together to perform a specific function within an organism, like the heart, lung, liver, brain, like that. Then we have system, a group of organs that work together to perform a particular function or set of functions within an organism is called a system. Example, we have digestive system, which is composed of organs such as the stomach, intestines, and liver. Then the respiratory system, which includes lungs, the trachea, airways, all those things. And the nervous system, which is comprising of the brain, the spinal cord, different types of nerves, like that. Then we get to the answer. The basic structural and functional unit of life in organisms is cell. It is the smallest structural and functional unit of living organisms capable of independent existence and the performance of essential functions necessary for life, like metabolism, respiration, things like that. For example, we can have the neuron, which is a cell, red blood cells, like that. So the answer for the first question is the first option. Then we move on to the second question. What is the pair of subatomic particles which attract each other? So, in our syllabus, there are 3 subatomic particles. Subatomic means they are a tier below atoms. The atoms are made out of these. So, 3 we have are protons, electrons, and neutrons. So, protons and neutrons, they are tightly packed together in the atom, and we call this tightly packed structure of protons and neutrons the nucleus. And then we have electrons revolving, just going around this nucleus in the atom. So those are the 3 things. So the proton, it's positively charged, and the electron is negatively charged, and the neutrons do not have a charge. Think of positively charged, something that is positively charged, as the north pole of a magnet, and something negatively charged as the south pole. What happens when you put 2 north poles together? If you have ever tried that, it does not stay together no matter how hard we try. It always tries to push each other back. They repel each other, right? In the opposite, as in north and south, they attract each other. In the same way, if you put bunch of positively charged protons tightly together, it's not stable, right? Just like when you try to push 2 north poles together or 2 south poles together. So in order to keep these positively charged protons tightly packed together, we have neutrons, which are neutral. It's in the name that they are have no charge. They just like bond together, like they just hold the positive charge protons together. Like, let's be civil here, let's not fight, things like that. That's what neutrons do. And then you have electron, which is negatively charged, and it revolves around the nucleus. So protons are positively charged, and protons are positively charged, and electrons are negatively charged. Positively charged things and negatively charged things, they attract together. So the answer is 2, electrons and protons. The second option is the correct answer for the second question. The third question is the unit of momentum. So momentum is a measure of how difficult it is to stop a moving object. Okay, the momentum of a moving body is a measure of how difficult it is to stop the motion of that body. It is the quantity of motion possessed by an object. It's like a measure of motion. And momentum is represented by the following formula, which is P equals m times v. P equals mv. P stands for momentum, m stands for mass of the object, and v stands for velocity. So what are the two factors that determine an object momentum? It's the mass and the velocity. Okay, so the mass, imagine I'm trying to punch you with just my fist. Just my fist, I punch you in your torso, okay? Then I increase the mass by holding a dumbbell, like a 5 kilo dumbbell, and I punch you with that dumbbell. Which has the bigger damage to you? Obviously, the one with the dumbbell. And in the velocity, I punch you like slowly. Slowly, I punch you. Or I punch you like a bullet, like a pistol. Which has the highest, bigger damage to you? It's the faster one, right? So the two factors that determine momentum is mass and the velocity. They are positively correlated. So we measure the mass by kilograms, right? kg, and then we measure velocity by s to the -1, right? ms to -1 kg. Then the formula we have is P equals mv. Then we get the kg from the mv, kilograms, and ms to the -1. With the answer we get the answer P equals kg ms to the -1. So the answer is 1. For the third question, the answer is 1. Then we have 3 different muscle tissues, and they're asking us to identify them. Look at the first one. The first one is a smooth muscle tissue. It is unbranched. It's spindle-shaped cell. Spindle means, in like a common sense, spindle means something that starts from really thin. It starts from really thin, then it gets fat, then it gets thin again. I'm pretty sure there are better way to define spindle. So it's unbranched, spindle-shaped cell that only have one nucleus and no striations. Striations means they're like stripes, like thin lines or marks, goes like that. Striations. They do not become fatigued quickly. Fatigued means like tired, right? Quickly, and gets controlled involuntarily. As in, like you don't control it, it just happens. You don't have the control over the smooth muscle tissues. We have the walls of the digestive tract, the esophagus, the stomach, they are made of smooth muscle tissues. Then we have the uterus, then the bladder. All of these are made out of smooth muscle tissues. Then B, we have skeletal muscle tissues. They are long, cylindrical, and unbranched and multinucleate. Multinucleate is a fancy word for multiple nuclei, not nucleus, multiple nuclei. So more than one nucleus. These cells do have striations, which are like stripes, and peripheral nuclei, and many mitochondria. That's a very special mark. Skeletal muscle tissues have many mitochondria. It gets fatigued quickly And voluntarily controlled. We can control skeletal muscle tissues by thinking about it. It does get fatigued quickly, like the bicep muscle. Bicep muscle is a muscle between your shoulder and your elbow in your arm. The upper one is the bicep, the one below is the tricep. So these muscles and basically every other muscle that we can control are made out of skeletal muscle tissues. Skeletal means like the bones, right? So these muscles are connecting bones. We can move the bones using these muscles. Then we have cardiac muscles. You have heard the word cardiac arrest, right? Cardiac involves the same meaning as heart or circulatory system, right? So cardiac muscle is the muscles that our heart is made out of. It is uninucleate, that means has one nucleus, and it is striated, that means it has like stripes. They are short cells and they never become fatigued. And they contract rhythmically, like labda, labda, rhythmically contracting, and it is involuntary control, like you can't stop your heart from beating just by thinking about it. And these muscles are found in vertebrate. Vertebrate mean animals with spines. They are hearts, okay? Other hearts, they are hearts without cardiac muscle tissues. The fifth question, the last one, which of the following molecule with the highest number of covalent bonds? So covalent bonds are like when two atoms bond together, share electrons, and they stay together. That's a covalent bond. They share the electrons. So in here, we have first one. Let's get oxygen. O2 is a diatomic molecule, right? And if you remember the Lewis structures in 10th grade, O2 is like there's a O atom, two bonds, and O atoms. So there are two covalent bonds. And then we have N2, nitrogen. It's a diatomic, as you can see here. In the new Lewis structures, there are three bonds in the new nitrogen gas. Nitrogen, three covalent bonds, and another nitrogen. Then we have ammonia. Ammonia, NH3, contains one nitrogen atom bonded with three hydrogen atoms. All these three bonds are covalent. So we have a total of three covalent bonds. Then we have carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide, if you remember, it is made like oxygen atom, two bonds, carbon, then two bonds, oxygen. So in the total, there are four covalent bonds. If you don't remember the Lewis structures, you have to draw it, but it is not that necessary. Just by looking at, if you like look at the examples in the book, you can understand what's going on. Okay, that's it for today. Next video will be from the 10th question to 15th question in the MCQ. So revise these. You can always ask for the paper itself. Email me at sciencewithshawn@gmail.com and I will send you the paper. Okay.